Hi class, welcome to spring term of 2022. This is EDD 670E. I wanted to give you a little bit of a course introduction and tour of the Canvas course. So here is what to expect this spring. First, I will do that tour of the Canvas course next. We'll go over the assignments and of course, want you to be fully aware of the goals for this term. You will be continuing to review, refine, and perfect chapters 1 and 2. I'm using the term perfect. I am not expecting perfection in this course, but you need to start be working towards, really getting those chapters polished and down, ready for submission, ready for your proposal defense. So you should be also prepared to, by the end of the term, you should prepare to be assigned a dissertation chair. That's something that Drs. Choi and Watkins and I discussed, that really by the end of this term, those who are ready will receive their dissertation chair. And so that is one of the goals that you should be working towards. And similar to last term, where your final was to submit a chapter 2, your final this term is to submit a chapter 3. So you'll be working towards finishing that. All right, let me stop sharing this and scoot over to the Canvas course. Okay, here's the Canvas course. It should look relatively familiar. This is the student view. So of course, this is our landing page. If you click on the syllabus here, it takes you to the assignments, as well as the downloadable syllabus that includes much more information. I want you, you know what the announcements are. They go to your email. So then we'll just go right in here to modules. These first ones are, of course, some background information about the department grading policies. This is where the assignment descriptions are here. We'll come back to this in just a second. And then required text and other requirements here. This is where we're getting started though, this session. Once I'm done with this recording, you'll see the PowerPoint or the video recording here in your January overview. We are meeting with Dr. Watkins and her class on Thursday, January 27th at 5 o'clock via Zoom. We will meet with them all together so that everyone who's doing a dissertation in practice will get common information from both of us. And we'll go over the stages of the dissertation in practice and the development there. You don't have any readings, but I do want to bring your attention to this discussion thread about the proposed course meetings. I'm going to click on this link here. It takes you to the discussion thread. I just want you to comment. I can see that Alex already has. Thank you, Alex, about which dates you can make. These are the proposed dates. They're all Thursdays, meeting at 5 p.m. Really, the one on the 27th is not optional or not negotiable. The rest of the dates can be negotiable, as well as the start times. Just comment on here if you can make these dates or not. And please, please complete that discussion thread by February 4th so that we can reschedule any of the dates if we need to. And I need you to be reviewing the feedback on your chapter 2 drafts. I provided pretty substantial feedback on all of your chapter 2s. So please be reviewing that if you haven't already, and then we will be going over some of that information and feedback in our first one-on-ones. So I want to also show you this, the February module. We'll be meeting with our Zoom link here. I will also be uploading some additional information as we get closer, such as the PowerPoint that we'll be using for our common group meeting, but you'll also be scheduling a one-on-one Zoom meeting by the end of the month. This should all look relatively familiar to you at this point. The next page in this module is the revised positionality statement, which we'll go over again, but here's the page for that. and of course some EDD resources. I will open up additional modules as we get closer. I only have modules 1 and 2 for January and February open now, but of course I'll open the additional months as we get closer to that time. And just familiarize yourself with the Canvas course. Again, this should look relatively familiar from last time. So I'm going to stop share here. We're going to go back to the PowerPoint. I think this might take us to the beginning, but that's okay. So I wanted to also in this video just go over briefly some common comments that I found across most or all of the papers from our fall term for chapter 2. I will also be going over the February module, which I did just a little bit right now in the Canvas course, and then our meeting dates. So continue to work on your APA style. Generally, parenthetically, when you are writing in the paragraph, right, that's last name, comma, year, no first names. And really, even in the text in your paragraphs, you don't write first names. You don't need to say John Smith 2022. You could just say Smith 2022. That is the typical writing convention. Really, really, really pay attention to the organization of your entire paper overall, but also the organization within each paragraph. Think about if you have an opening sentence for that paragraph, how to use the headings and the paragraph context and how that must match. I really want you to think about that reverse outline assignment. And I know some of you had some flexibility in how you did that. That's perfectly fine. But what I want you to think about as you're writing and as you're revising is, what heading am I using? What are my topic sentences or my opening, sentence to that paragraph or that section? And does everything under that fit? If it doesn't fit, change your title or change the content of the paragraphs, right? That's all part of an overall organization and flow of the writing. And you also, of course, have that the writing guide or the template for the dip. So make sure you pay attention to that. That's the way to nail the organization. I will say that some of you had incomplete theories of change sections. You have to include a thorough description of the driver diagram. So each of those arrows, how they all connect between the primary and secondary drivers, all of that, the aim statement needs to be clearly written in the paragraph. All of that really needs to be explicit, clear in text. You also need to include a section that describes what improvement science is, what a theory of change is broadly. Why do researchers and practitioners use improvement science? Why is a dissertation in practice, relevant for you as a practitioner? So I was not very harsh on that, or I didn't make a ton of comments in that when I was grading, but that is, a 1 or 2 paragraph section that explains what a theory of change is broadly, and then what yours is, right? So the theory of change is something that, after you're implementing an intervention, you can see change afterwards, all of that. And that comes from the readings from the last 2 terms, really, summer and fall. And we're going to revisit some of those readings this term as well. But make sure to include sort of that high level understanding of what improvement science and theories of change are. And then you can go into what yours is, right? So it's kind of that umbrella introduction and then funnel it down to what your theory of change is. There's specific times and places where you use first person. When you talk about your positionality statement, that's when you use first person. When you talk about your motivation for the study, when you can even to a degree talk about your site and your setting in first person. It's not really common or necessary to use first person in other parts of the chapter or the dissertation where you're not specifically referencing yourself as the expert, as the researcher. Make sure to use pseudonyms for any of your school sites, and make sure to clearly explain your acronyms, right? The best way to do that is to use the entire full written out term and then parentheses with the acronym after that. Once you have introduced the term in full, then you can use the acronym moving forward. But don't assume that the reader knows what the acronyms are, even if all of your readers are in education, even if they're K through 12 experts, for 40 years, make sure to spell out their acronyms the first time that you use them. Similarly, you want to make sure to define key terms and avoid run-on sentences. Find places to put periods. Read it out loud. If it is more than 4 lines on a double-spaced paper, it's too long. You've got to cut it up with putting periods in between. I think if not all of you, nearly all of you had a comment or two from me about using direct quotes. I don't want to read anymore. You can only use 2 to 4 direct quotes per chapter. Let's implement that rule. You've got to start reframing, rephrasing things in your own words so that you are not using direct quotes. That is, it's really just a standard. It's many of you are relying on direct quotes way too much. So keep that in mind and pay attention to the comments that I put in your chapter 2, please. So thinking about what's next in this February module, of course, we're meeting on January 27th first, but I wanted to give you this preview. We will be meeting towards the end of February. I have this proposed date of the 24th. You will be scheduling one-on-one meetings, and that needs to be done. The first one should be done by the end of the month. So that's, February 28th at the latest. And the assignment for that one-on-one is to pick 3 to 5 comments or sections from chapter 2 to review together. So 3 to 5 things that I commented on, 3 to 5 things that you are wondering about, that we can talk about together in this first one-on-one. In this first one-on-one, we will also schedule it for 45 minutes to an hour. If we don't need all that time, wonderful, great, let's end early. But I want to give you enough time to really have thoughtfully, gone through the comments, and therefore we can talk it through and ask questions. I also just want you to make sure to keep the big picture in mind. Of course, this is the name of the game. I've said this 100 times. Continue writing and refining chapters 1 and 2. And then the complete chapter 3 is due by the end of the term. So keep the big picture, that big assignment in mind as you move forward. These are the proposed dates with a 5 p.m. start time again. And your assignment is to put in the discussion thread, which I showed you in the Canvas course, whether or not you can meet those dates at 5 o'clock. Please complete that discussion thread by February 4th so that if we need to reschedule, we can. And then, of course, moving forward, you'll schedule one-on-one meetings for February, March, and April. We really close out by the beginning of May, so we won't be doing one-on-ones in May. And of course, you can schedule those via email prior to the end of each month. My office hours are on Thursdays, 4 to 5. That's a great time to schedule these meetings, but I can also do during the day, just depending on schedules and meetings and that sort of thing. So if you can be flexible during the day, I most likely can as well. So you can keep that in mind. Of course, I think most of you know how to contact me by now, but if not, using the messaging system in the Canvas course, email, or those are my office hours. All right, thank you so much. That's it for me, and I will see you soon. Looking forward to this semester. Bye-bye.